Bringing people and communities together on seclosounds.org.
Your listening station.
The spotlight on this week's show is on Tenerife. Find out why you should visit this Canary Island, and of course there's travel news. That's all coming up on the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Hello and welcome to the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Later in the show, as always, there'll be travel news, and one of the stories this week is a strike that's coming our way. But first, Tenerife. Probably you've been there, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, and people who have been there probably think they know it all, but there's always something you can learn about the island. And my guest this week is Karen Blanchard. She's the communications coordinator at the Tenerife Tourism Corporation, based on the island. The conversation was recorded over a telephone, so it does get a little bit ropey every now and again. It's a long bit of string from Milton Keynes to Tenerife. And the first thing we're going to find out is why Tenerife is known as the Island of Eternal Spring.
Because of the wonderful weather. It's spring-like all year round. We have probably one of the places with the most sunshine hours in the world, and the average temperature is 23 degrees Celsius, rising up maybe to 25, 26, 27 in the summer. But you can come here in the winter and you can swim in the sea.
I'm looking at my window. I can't do that now. It's 8 degrees here and a little bit of a drip.
Oh dear! Get on a plane to Tenerife.
I am tempted. Who were the Guanches? Did I get it right that time?
Yes, perfect. Perfect pronunciation. The Guanches were the original Aborigines, if you like, of Tenerife when the Spanish conquistadors arrived at the end of the 15th century. There's a lot of speculation about their origins and who they were, but what we do know is that they were very peaceful folk. They farmed, they raised livestock, they lived in caves. There's speculation as to whether they knew about navigation, because no boats have been found. Mm-hmm. One of the curious things about them is that they used to mummify their dead, like the Egyptians. And for the curious visitor, there is a museum here which has actually got some of the Guanche mummies. Theories that they originated from North Africa, from the Berbers, but there's still quite a lot of controversy about that.
Well, what's the brief history of Tenerife, and how did it end up being a Spanish island?
The island was created through a number of volcanic eruptions, and volcanoes are everywhere. From the minute you step foot on the island, you see this strange moonlight landscape that obviously culminates in the highest mountain in Spain, which is our volcano Teide, which rises up to 3,700 meters. The Guanches divided the island into kingdoms. The Spaniards arrived at the end of the 15th century, and battles ensued. The island was conquered by the Spaniards. The first settlement was built up in the north of the island. I think one of the outstanding historic events that links Tenerife to Britain is the invasion by Admiral Lord Nelson, who tried to invade Tenerife in 1796. He anchored off the harbour of Santa Cruz, the capital, but he was fought back by militias of local people and actually defeated. During the attack, he lost his right arm from a cannon, which is called the Tiger, and that can be seen in the military museum in Santa Cruz. And one of the nice stories about the relationship between Tenerife and Britain is the fact that even though Nelson was defeated, the local general actually met up with him. So obviously they exchanged goods, and he was given Canarian wine and cheese. And we say, well, this was kind of the start of our long-standing relationship with the British.
But you don't get your arm blown off by a cannon anymore.
No.
quite a varied history and very interesting. How would a visitor find out more once they've visited the island?
Well, there's a number of ways that a visitor can find out about the history of Tenerife. One of the best ways is to either drive, rent a car and go up to the capital, Santa Cruz. It's about a 50-minute drive. On the way there, you can stop off at the pyramids. We've actually got stepped pyramids, which were discovered by the famous explorer Thor Heyerdahl of the Kon-Tiki fame. Lots of mystery surrounding their origins. And then you can head to the Military Museum in Santa Cruz, and you can head to the Museum of Mankind and Nature, where you can see the Guanxi mummies. At the Military Museum, you'll be able to see a display of weapons, historical objects, and of course the cannon, which I already mentioned before, which reputedly shot off Admiral Nelson's arm. And then, of course, living history, you've got the old quarters of some of the towns, like the old capital, the university town, La Laguna, La Orotava, Puerto de la Cruz. There's lots of historical old buildings there.
Gary Fitz here, every Monday, 10 o'clock.
Coming up, we've got Eric and Ernie.
Join me here on Seclo Sounds.
This is from 1975. Eric and Ernie were four...
Gary, it's not Eric and Ernie, it's Earl and Ernie, the Cape Brothers, Union Man.
Oh, I see.
Gary Fitz here, every Monday, 10 o'clock.
Earl and Ernie.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on seclosounds.org. Still to come on the show, my guest Karen Blanchard from the Tenerife Tourism Corporation would explain what a Tenerife bioclimatic house is. But at the moment we're still getting to know the area, and we're going to start off by talking about art and culture on the island.
One of the most outstanding things about Tenerife is the number of traditional events, fiestas, processions. There seems to be a celebration going on somewhere around the island every month, all year round. And visitors are very, very welcome. The processions involve animals, colourful carts dressed up with flowers. There can be fireworks displays. Of course, one of the biggest celebrations is the carnival, which is going on right now. Our carnival is very, very tropical. It's second only to Rio, and it goes on for 2 weeks, and everybody gets involved and gets dressed up. So that's one cultural side to Tenerife. The other side is revival of traditions. There's a lot of reenactment going on where people dress up and reenact old traditions that are linked to the farming cycle. So we have events that are linked to the almond crop. We have events linked to the threshing of the corn up in the green north of the island. And apart from that, we've got architecture, museums, historical sites. And in the capital, Santa Cruz, you can go to the theatre. We have an opera house, which is quite similar to the opera house in Sydney. That's designed by Santiago Calatrava. Or we have the Modern Art Centre, the TEA, which was designed by Swiss architects. And of course, as I mentioned before, La Laguna, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and that has a fabulous old quarter that's pedestrianised, and you can wander around there.
Oh, I didn't expect opera then. I was just thinking about this.
Yeah, we have an opera season. We have the Canary Islands International Classical Music Festival, where we have all the great orchestras coming to play. This year we had the Chicago Symphony. There are lots of concerts. We've had James Blunt there, for example. So it's not just classical and opera. It's theatre, jazz. There's a jazz festival which goes on in the open air just behind the Opera House next to the Atlantic Ocean. We have the Castles Tour. There are several old castles built in the volcanic stone in Santa Cruz, which is interesting. And of course, we've got a network of museums between Santa Cruz and La Laguna. And one curious thing we have, in one of the hotels in the south, which is called the San Blas, we actually have a special nature reserve where they reenact the old way of life. So you tour around the countryside and you meet up with actors who reenact the way of life from that part of the island in the past, which focused on the tomatoes, the fishing, the banana plantations, and there's even a guanche who will do a ceremony in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's very, very different that we don't find normally, next door to a five-star hotel.
Before we start recording, I mentioned that I have trouble pronouncing words. So I'm going to change this one slightly and hope there's only one. But what do you do at the national park?
At the national park, first of all, you'll feel as if you're on Mars. It looks like something out of another planet. So just taking in the views, taking in the crisp, clear blue sky and the sunshine is an experience. But one of the spectacular things is going up the volcano in a cable car. So you actually go up to 3,718 meters above sea level. You can go hiking. There's a network of paths and tracks. You can look at the volcanic landscape, spectacular rock formations like the Roques de Garcia, which were featured in famous films like, 1 Million Year BC with Raquel Welch, and then more recently we've had Clash of the Titans filmed up there. The cable car actually goes up to 3,555 meters above sea level. For those of you that are very fit, if you get yourself a permit, you can walk up to the 3,718 meters to the crater, and you get a smell of sulfur up there and spectacular views. The very, very fit actually walk up the mountain from the base, stay overnight in the mountain refuge, get up before dawn, climb the rest up to the crater and see the sun rise from the peak of Mount Teide, and the shadow of the volcano falls onto the Atlantic Ocean and you can see all of the Canary Islands from there. But you have to be very, very fit and you need to get a permit too. The road is great for cyclists. There's a road that goes right through the lava field. We had Chris Froome and Bradley Wiggins training there before they went on to win the Tour de France. At night, it's one of the best places in the world to enjoy stargazing because it has very, very clear skies, low light pollution, and we have companies that will take you stargazing at night. You can even do a sunset stargazing tour where you go up the volcano in the cable car at sunset, you have a glass of champagne, and then you do stargazing and you can look through a telescope. The park's recently been awarded the Starlight Tourist Destination and Starlight Reserve, which means that it's one of Europe's dark sky destinations, and we're going to be developing a European Union sky route. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about Tenerife in relation to stargazing in the future.
Yeah, stargazing appeals to me. It's walking up to the top doesn't, but the cable car sounds really good.
So you're not fit.
I can rely on gravity to help me
go up
come
in the
down.
cable car.
I'll be able to come down with gravity, but walking up's no gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I tell you, it's tough. It is really tough. High altitude walking, yeah.
I have trouble at sea level. It's not good. With the smell of sulphur, does that mean it's active or is it officially dormant?
It's officially dormant, but not dead.
Oh.
This is Seclo Sounds. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for 1 hour in the company of Harry and Edna on the wireless, exploring all aspects of the vintage scene and playing tip-top gramophone tunes. Harry and Edna on the wireless, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on seclosounds.org. Jolly good.
Sound the big thing now.
Hi, blessings to each and every one of you. Join me, Darren Hoy, with the Reggae Takeover Show for 2 hours of the finest reggae vibes, each and every Wednesday, 9 through to 11 p.m, here on Seclo Sounds. Don't miss out on your weekly Sunshine Fix, featuring roots, rude boy, dub, lovers rock, ska, one drop, and much, much more.